So I got a new thing I'm doing, and it's great. As soon as I get a toxic person in my life, start rating and raving and just saying bad things and getting me pissed off and pointing the fingers at me, but they forget that they themselves are a bunch of shitheads. I had one guy, and I'm not going to say his name. When I gave up my plumbing company, when I retired, I gave him all of my stuff, probably $50,000 worth of stuff, $40,000 worth of stuff for free. And it comes to find out, the hardware store tells me, all those parts that you gave so-and-so? I said, yeah. He sold them all, and we paid him cash. Wow. And you have no idea. Some of those stems are $20 to $50 a piece, and I literally had hundreds of them. So instead of him coming back and saying, hey, you gave me all this stuff, let me give you didn't do that. So he has the audacity today. I ran for sheriff, and he goes, I bet you $500 you'll lose. And it's like, what an asshole for even trying to say that, right? And I go, I'll bet you that $500 if I stay in the freaking race. And I ended up backing out of the race. And he comes to me and goes, you owe me $500. I said, I didn't go all the way through the end. I backed out. I'm done. Mike's going to run. And he goes, you owe me I go, I don't owe you shit, you idiot. I go, for one thing, look at all the stuff he's done for me. Plus, I forgave him of his stupid debts a few times, right? And so, anyways, today he calls me, he goes, Schuster won. I go, yeah, so? He goes, you owe me $500. I go, where do you get the $500? I backed out of the race. Mike ran. I don't owe you the $500. He's like screaming and yelling at me. He lives on the golf course. And he's like flipping out about me. And I'm thinking, I've done enough for you, you freaking prick, right? And he's like, oh, you need to pay your bills, this is that. And I go, oh, really? So anyways, I'm going to let you in on something. There was a guy that I helped out in the gun industry. I gave him my customers. I made his guns for cost. For free. Basically for cost. I actually went over his building, and I actually physically helped him build them for free. For years, I let him go in a competition with me. And I bought the molds and everything, and he goes, hey, let me buy this mold. I said, no, we'll take care of it. No, I'll buy it. So he buys the mold. And ends up having what he paid for it, double the amount of work that we had to put into it. So we had more money into the mold than he did. Meanwhile, for years, I'm letting him do all this for free. Then I find him a buyer for his company. And what does he do? He charges me $50,000 for the mold. I go, wow, you paid $25,000, you freaking prick. I said, and I put in like 30 or 40 into it. And I let you go in a competition for all these years and you're going to do this to me? I go, you should just give it to me at this point. Like you said you were going to for all the good, it's this business. So you know what I said? Fuck you. Excuse my language. I go, I'll pay you $2,500 a month until it's paid for your $50,000, right? Because that's a dick. And know what he said to me? It's just business. It's not friendship. So now he's complaining and that it's taken so long. He goes, I know you have the money. Yeah, sure. I have tons of money to pay it off, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to treat you the way you treated me, right? So anyways, this person that made the bet with me is like all upset, this and that. And during my campaign, one of them threatened me and said this to me. Oh, I'm going to run around and put signs up that you did this and did that. I said, you know what? And I'm going to tell your wife that you're screwing two Asian women in a freaking hotel. And that's when you won't do that. Oh, yes, I will. Don't you dare freaking do that to me. So when you go to freaking judge someone and point the fingers at them, you better be sure that you know what the hell you've done in your history. And not just that, be a good person. You can't point the finger unless you yourself are good. So I've done nothing wrong in this. And I know for a fact I was willing to go to court just to prove it because I have all the paperwork. And that's how I'm treated. Right now AR-15s are going for $1,000, right? I'm selling them for $450 out the door. And everyone else is $1,000. And that's how people are. Even if they're making more profit, they're gouging people. People do not care about one another. I care about people. I don't rip people off. And I don't like, you help someone, they'll rip you off. Don't you understand that? That's the problem in this life. You treat someone good, you bend over backwards for them, and then when it comes down that you need help, they screw you. And so now what I'm doing is blocking everyone. I have one negative comment, block. Don't want to talk to you. Block, block, block. And you know what? I don't need them. And if they're like, oh, you got no friends. I don't want friends. I'm fine. I have a woman and my family. I don't need anyone in my life. And like I said, I vent on here and I feel good about it. It's like my therapy. But I don't care. I got plenty of money. My business is good. I don't give a shit if I have any friends. Friends just try to take money from you. The truth is this. If you want to be wealthy, hang out with wealthy people. If you want to be a drug addict, hang out with drug addicts. If you want to be an alcoholic, hang out with alcoholics. And that's just the truth. You are who you hang out with. And all my friends are big business owners, and we all help one another, and they don't screw me over. I mean, like the other day, I called one of my big companies and said, hey, look, man, I need to borrow 500 buffers just to get me through because I'm upside down with the damn buffers. I can't get the buffers. Our train derailed. And he goes, no problem, man. I go pay back 20 days with buffers. He'd do the same thing to me. That's what we do. But you know what? With these two assholes that I was working with, you know what they'd do? They would charge me. They wouldn't help me out, but they expect me to help them out. If you're that type of poisonous person, you're a piece of shit, and you're going to stand before God one day, and so am I. But anyone who does that to people is shit, garbage. I don't charge interest. I don't do any of that stuff. It's freaking wrong. Not when you have it, and someone's down and out. Anyways, you guys, Ed Mac.